Hey, what's up? This is Mang. I'm going to do a super fast Rogue 101 Intro to Rogue Bots tutorial. The first thing we're going to do here is we're going to get the creds to a Rogue Bot. In Discord, you can either hit a bat phone button and it will give you creds, or you can type in /bot request and then a rogue's name or bot request class and type rogue and enter a zone location. I'm on April O'Neil right now, so we're going to request that rogue, even though I already have it. It says Mangbard's the current pilot. It gives me creds, Castle Rogue 8. If I click this little spoiler here, it will give me the password to log into EQ. Well, I'm in EQ, and really quick, I want to cover the basics of rogues and everything you need to do good damage very quickly. First off, main hand, Ragebringer. This is the Rogue Epic. It's a 1525 piercer. It's got Seething Fury on it for extra attack power and 40% haste. 40% haste means that you need a haste buff in order to hit the haste cap. Usually people like Vogue, which is 59% haste and more attack power. Speed of the Shissar, the snake click, is also totally fine. It's actually 1% more haste, but it doesn't give you the attack power buff. The buttons that you need to use as a rogue are Backstab, Evade, disciplines like Nimble or Duelist, and you can hit Alt-C and pull up your full discipline list here, but the three that we ever use are Nimble, Duelist, and Counterattack sometimes on Trakenon. Nimble is infinite dodge, Duelist is double damage, and Counterattack is 100% riposte, so that's extra damage, but only if you're tanking. In general, Duelist is going to be the most DPS, but on Trakenon, if you happen to take threat, you'd pop Counterattack. In any case, the plan here is to fight a monster and then spam Backstab as much as possible, which the cooldown decreases. You can use it more often the more haste you have. So the number one buff for a rogue is haste, by far. Obviously you want to not die, so you also want HP buffs if possible, but the number one buff is haste. If you go to the P99 wiki, for example, and pull up buff lines, you can look at all kinds of other helpful, useful buffs if you were trying to max your DPS. So let's look at attack here. If you're a rogue, you want Strength of Nature, Call the Predator, Avatar or Primal Avatar if you can get it, Vogue or Speed of the Shissar are your two haste options. This is ring 10, you're not going to have that. And you could be grouped with a Bard. Dance of the Blade, McVaxius, and then whatever aura of battle items you might happen to be wearing is extra attack power. So having a good haste and having your attack buffs is going to maximize your DPS. And then you want all of the normal HP buffs if you can get them. You want to cap your strength if possible, so you want focus from a shaman. You could cap your stamina by getting stamina from a shaman. And then of course you want a symbol or an egalism in order to get max HP. So there are a lot of buffs a rogue can get to do max DPS. And then when you're actually fighting something, it's pretty straightforward. I guess I'm going to zone out to Awakening Lands. You're going to turn auto attack on to make sure that you're meleeing. And then whenever possible, you're going to backstab. Rogues are very rarely tanking. You're not supposed to take threat. And that's why we have our second button, which is evade. Now I'm going to do this demonstration solo, which doesn't really make sense because I'm going to be tanking. But I'm going to hide sneak first so I get at least one backstab in. Hide needs to be used without attack on, and you have to not be moving. It makes you invisible, although if you have a see invis item, it'll put little parentheses around you, as if you have invisibility on. Rogues are also able to sneak simultaneously with hide, and their special class ability is that they can retain hide while moving if they are sneaking. So the combination of hide sneak essentially makes everything that can't see through hide, and very, very few things do see through hide, everything that can't see through hide just cons indifferent to you. This lets them move through a zone very easily without getting any threat, and they can drag corpses. So one of the best corpse dragging characters, along with monks, because they can feign death. So I'm going to target this giant right here, and I'm going to open with a backstab, right? Unfortunately, it missed. It is what it is. But now I'm just going to auto attack and make sure that I have, white damage coming in. I would backstab again, but the monster is facing me, so that's not going to work. But if someone else were tanking it, I can backstab him from the back, or I can backstab him anywhere in the side. As long as I'm not facing the front of the monster at all, you can just mash backstab. Backstab has a 10-second cooldown at base, but it decreases the more haste you have. And if you have the full 99 or 100% haste, you should be backstabbing every 5 seconds. And you can literally just mash your bar over and over again to make sure you're trying to backstab as often as possible. Right? So that's all you're doing is auto attack on, mashing backstab. Now, in addition to that, you can evade, which is a 3-line macro, attack off, do ability hide, attack on. And hide is my slot 2 here. So I did do ability 2. And it makes you very briefly blink as if you hid. It turns your attack off. It pops your hide in place, so you have to not be moving. And then it turns your attack back on, which makes you blink back out of being hidden. Now, when you do this, it says you begin to hide, you have momentarily ducked away from the main combat. That just reduced your threat on all monsters. So you do the most melee damage out of any class if you're doing everything properly and have good buffs, right? And the evade, kind of like Feign Death, helps you not take threat. So we're going to fight one more monster. I'm going to backstab, which was an okay hit, 126. And then I'm going to turn auto attack on, and now I'm going to keep evade on cooldown. Hide is also on my bar, so I can see it light up. I can't really backstab anymore because he's facing me. But whenever hide comes off cooldown, every 10 seconds, I can hit evade again and attempt to proc another evade threat reduction every 10 seconds. So hide comes off right now, and I can evade again. So you're keeping backstab on cooldown every 5 seconds, you're evading every 10 seconds, right? That is 99% of a rogue's job in a raid, is to just keep backstab and evade on cooldown. Hide and sneak is helpful. You can help drag people if you know how to move around a zone. Alright, so now that this mob's fleeing, I can actually backstab him really well. What else is there to say about a rogue? Nimble and Duelist. These macros here are /disc, and then the name of the discipline, and then just a shout out, this is to guild, that I'm nimbling on the target, right? So if you type in /disc, it will tell you if you have any disciplines on cooldown, and I currently am ready to use a discipline because I didn't get any message. So if I used a discipline like Duelist, it would put that on 30-minute cooldown, and you can check your cooldown by typing /disc. To use Nimble, you just type /disc Nimble, or you have a macro for it, and to use Duelist, you type /disc Duelist, and that uses Duelist. Duelist is for damage, Nimble is for dodge. You could make a third macro for counterattack. That's pretty much everything you need to know about a rogue. Make sure you have the right gear, the right buffs, auto attack on, mash backstab, evade every 10 seconds when hide is available. You can use hide and sneak in combination to move around a zone. And assist is a useful macro to be able to assist. In this case, you'd be assisting whatever your current target is, but if someone declares themselves main assist, like let's say Yendor is our main assist person, you can make a /assist Yendor macro, and then every time you hit it, you will automatically be given the target that Yendor is currently targeting. And that way you can follow main assist. So those are pretty much all the basics for playing a rogue in a raid. And the more practice you get, the more simple this is. Rogues are probably the most straightforward class to play in a raid. You simply try not to die and do a lot of damage. Cool. If you have any questions, by all means, ask. We love new players trying out bots, and rogues are just always in demand. Thanks. Have a good one.